Galactic history according to Alex Collier and the Andromedans. DSG, defending sacred ground. Alpha, letters from Andromeda. Mirani, Andromedan extraterrestrial. Vasize, Andromedan extraterrestrial. AC, Alex Collier. Val, Valerian. Our ancient heritage. DSG, CH1, AC, I want to talk to you about Lyra and how the human race colonized our galaxy. Based on the age of the suns and the planets in our galaxy, it was decided that the human life form was to be created in the Lyran system. The human race lived there for approximately 40 million years, evolving. The orientation of the human race in Lyra was agricultural in nature. Apparently, we were very plentiful and abundant, and lived in peace. Then, one day, huge craft appeared in the sky. A large ship came out of the huge craft and approached the planet Bela, and reptilians from Alpha Draconis disembarked. Apparently, the Alpha Draconians and the Lyrans were afraid of each other. I told you before that the Alpha Draconians were apparently the first race in our galaxy to have interstellar space travel, and have had this capability for 4 billion years. Well, when the Draconians came and saw Bela, with all its abundance in food and natural resources, the Draconians wanted to control it. There was apparently a miscommunication or a misunderstanding between the Draconians and Lyran humans. The Lyrans wanted to know more about the Draconians before some kind of assistance was offered. The Draconians mistook the communication as a refusal, and subsequently destroyed 3 out of 14 planets in the Lyran system. The Lyrans were basically defenseless. The planets Bela, Tekka and Merc were destroyed. Over 50 million Lyran humans were killed. It is at this point in history that the Draconians began to look at humans as a food source. This is how old the struggle is between the reptilian and human races. Now, I must make the point that not all the reptilian or human races are dark. There is a mix. When we start meeting these races, you are going to have to trust your gut instinct. But, they are coming. Hale-Bopp is on its way here. It is not a comet. The Draconians. AC. The Draconians are the force behind the repression of human populations everywhere in this galaxy, instilling fear-based belief systems and restrictive hierarchies. I asked Morani about them, and he said, the Draconian race is probably the most understood race of beings. I have witnessed a deep respect for this race. The Andromedans consider the Draconians the ultimate warriors, in a negative sense. Morani continues, the Draconians are the oldest reptilian race in our universe. Their forefathers came to our universe from another separate universe or reality system. When this occurred, no one really knows. The Draconians themselves are not really clear on when they got here. The Draconians teach their masses that they were here in this universe first, before humans, and as such they are heirs to the universe and should be considered royalty. They find disgust in the fact that humans do not recognize this as a truth. They have conquered many star systems and have genetically altered many of the life forms they have encountered. The area of the galaxy most densely populated with Draconian subraces is in the Orion system, which is a huge system, and systems in Rigel and Capella. The mindset or consciousness of the majority of races in these systems is service to self less than http://www.bibliotecapiliades.net/mystics/sas.htm greater than. And as such they are always invading, subverting and manipulating less advanced races, and using their technology for control and domination. This is a very old and ancient war, and the peace that does not exist is always being tested by these beings, who believe that fear rules, and love is weak. They believe that those they perceive to be less fortunate, in comparison to them, are meant to be slaves. This belief system is promoted at birth in the reptilian races, wherein the mother, after giving birth, will abandon the offspring to fend for themselves. If they survive they are cared for by a warrior class that uses these children for games of combat and amusement. So, you can see that the reptilians are forever stuck in survival mode. This means they have no boundaries in what they will do to other beings. Morani continues, it is ingrained in them never to trust a human. They are taught the Draconian version of the history of the Great Galactic War, which teaches that humans are at fault for invading the universe, and that humans selfishly wanted the Draconian society to starve and struggle for the basic materials that would allow them to exist. AC. Now, there are some real similarities there. The expression Draconian thought is an expression on our world. I would suggest you research that. The hierarchy in our galaxy. DSG, CH1, There are two schools of thought in our galaxy. There are the regressives, who are races that carry fear and because of that want to control others. The hierarchy of the regressives starts with a group from Alpha Draconis. The Andromedans have no idea where the Alpha Draconians came from, but what they have learned through interaction with other dimensional races is that somebody brought the Draconians to this universe and dumped them in the Alpha Draconis system, where they had the highest probability of survival. According to the Andromedans, the Alpha Draconians have had space travel for 4 billion years. They are an incredible race and have achieved great things, but they are bullies. They are jerks, and that's a judgment. I'm taking that judgment myself. That's my judgment based on what I know about them. The Draconians do not like human beings. The Andromedans say the Draconians believe that this universe was here for them, that their history teaches them that they were left here to rule it. But, when they started traveling, they ran across other races. They were able to conquer many of those races through genetic manipulation. Now, our government, the United States government, the New World Order, whatever you want to call it, wants to implant everybody. From the Andromedan perspective, that means ownership. Extraterrestrials don't want to bother with that stuff, since that is not permanent. Extraterrestrials value genetics. What they do is they come in, conquer a race and genetically alter it. From that moment on, that race is genetically altered. The genetic changes alter the frequency, sound and thought patterns of the race if they move into a physical form. Does everyone understand this? Q. Could you give us an example of this? AC. The best example I could give you concerns the Greys. Apparently, the Greys were much more human-looking at one time. What happened was that they, as a race, were captured 891,000 years ago while leaving Zeta 1 and Zeta 2 to go off and do their own thing. This is very common, and it is how Earth became colonized. What happened is that they got captured by a group in Orion that was already genetically altered and under control of the Alpha Draconians. According to Moreni, the first thing this Draconian-altered Orion group did was slaughter almost all of the females of the captured race in order to control the birth process. They then genetically altered the remaining females, so that all the children born after that were genetically altered. The males were enslaved, made to work in mines and slaughtered by the Draconian-controlled Orion group, who had absolutely no regard for life. What we know now is the Greys became a natural resource. General trends of humanoid races in the universe. DSG. CH4, Val, how about humanoid races and societies, in comparison to us? The society on Earth has a manipulative base historically grounded in the Orion system. What about things on the opposite side of the coin? What is the norm in space societies, insofar as you are aware of? AC, well, the norm is definitely light. You know, self-rule and self-responsibility. The thing in that is going on in our particular part of the galaxy, which includes 21 systems, concerns the idea of tyranny. What is interesting about this is that the area in which this tyranny is occurring is a very, very old area. It has been colonized for a long time, and it has been under control of some of the oldest races, like the Alpha Draconians. They were the first race to have space travel in our galaxy and were remarkable builders. But their species multiplied so rapidly that they decided to conquer other races to make room for them. Our race, the Earth human race, was literally created by a group that came down from a dimensional realm, and these were the Pratal. This verbal expression called Pratal is actually of Draconian origin. Val, so in actuality the genetics comprising the human body are a composite from around the galaxy, but the spiritual entities occupying human bodies are literally the Pratal. AC, right. Val, so, are there any Pratal occupying reptilian bodies? AC, I don't know. Val, that would be an interesting twist on events. If there is a huge time loop, maybe the reptilians actually came from now, and swung back 4 billion years and started something there. AC, interesting. Anything is certainly possible. So, anyway, how the humans in this galaxy apparently found out about the Pratal was that somehow they were able to get hold of ancient Draconian records. Now, the Draconians are apparently extremely private about their lineage and their history. Everything is a secret. They have family houses of lineage they are very proud of. Val, sort of like the Klingons on Star Trek. AC, probably similar. Anyway, They found out about the Draconian legends, which speak of a time where a group of beings came out of nowhere and created a race to war against and challenge the Draconian sovereignty. Val, of the universe. AC, well, no. We only see a small part of the universe. Even if you look at the part of the universe we can see physically, they say there are 100 trillion galaxies. So, the Draconians are not everywhere. There are a lot of them here, and this is one of the areas that is causing a problem. More on the history of the Zenithan civilization. DSG, CH6, Alex, let me answer that question this way. I have that question written down to ask them, because you gave me a question like that before to ask them. But, they did tell me that there was a time when they first left the Lyran system, after about 21 generations had gone by, where they found themselves hiding. Again, I don't know all the details, but they were being hunted by another race. They were living in hollowed-out asteroids and moons. They were moving all the time. Val, this is the whole Zenithan civilization. Alex, that's correct, and I do not know how many there were. They were basically living on craft and having to move around all the time, looking for a place that was safe. Well, there were beings from the Cassiopean system that helped them, and apparently at that point in time the Zenithans were under a kind of imposed dictatorship, because they were in survival mode and one person took control of their civilization. I can remember Moreni saying that it was imperative that they receive help, because they may not have evolved out of that, had it gone on any longer. What happened was that they were taken to two solar systems in the Andromedan constellation. We know them as Star 42 and Star 44. Star 42 is Zenithal, which is now their star system. Star 44 is Tishte. Star 42 has 27 planets around the binary stars. Star 44 has 9 planets, but all of the planets are equal to or greater than the size of Jupiter. They at this point were all terraformed. Val, these beings from the Cassiopean system interacted with them approximately how long ago in our terms? Alex, about 2.5 million years ago, but perhaps a little longer. Val, has the Zenithan skin color always been blue? Alex, no. It was red at one time. Their original forefathers were red-skinned, and I am told that the Lyrans and Vegans were red-skinned at that time. Val, how did the progression begin to where the skin color changed to blue? Alex, apparently it had to do with a pigmentation change caused by the ingestion of certain minerals. Val, copper-based minerals. Alex, it was in the food and everything they ate, and the double sun had an effect on this too. You have to remember something here. We are talking about 5th density beings, not 3rd density, so you have the additional 3 color spectrums. I always try to take that into account when comparing them to us. They do literally live in another frequency. Val, so, were they ever in 3rd density? Alex, I am not sure about that. Val, there seems to be a prevalent assumption among humans that things start at a level of 3rd density existence. But, that's a misnomer, because Alex, no, all the races have been or are 3rd density. Val, so, since the period approximately 2.5 million years ago, do you have any idea of how their civilization has grown and changed since then? Alex, no, I don't know. All I know is where they are now because that's the only way I know them. That would be a question I would have to ask them. The nature of Nibiru. DSG, CH6, Val, here's another question that was submitted to me. You mentioned that the Lemurians and Atlanteans were extraterrestrials, and you also mentioned Nibiru. Tell us about Nibiru and its role and relationship to us in this solar system. Alex, this is what I have been told about who those connected with Nibiru are. A very long time ago, colonies on Sirius B and the Orion group were having trouble with each other. In order to bring peace, there was a marriage between 2 members of each group. The woman came from the Orion group, where the hierarchy includes a queen, the matriarchal paradigm. The male was from Sirius B. Both members were considered royalty of their respective line. When these 2 came together in marriage, their offspring had the genetics from both lines. Because of these genetics, the new race that was created was given the name Nibiru, which I am told by Moreni in the Orion tongue means divided amongst 2. This is who they literally are, a cross between those from Sirius B and a race from the Orion system. They formed a new tribe which has continued to flourish for at least hundreds of thousands of years. So, They are a tribe that has become a race. Thoughts on the nature of the universe. Alpha V2, N.2, 1996. In the beginning, Earth was colonized by 22 ET races minus 17 human, the rest insectual, botanical and reptilian. Land continents for supporting white race colonies were Mu and Poseidia. Atlantis sank 23,712 years ago. ETs came from mineral and natural resources, especially gold and borax. Terrians, Earth's Sitchins 5,000-6,000 years cataclysmic events, lost our court. Our universe is approximately 21 trillion years old. Earth is 7-1/2 billion years old. The conception that we have regarding the age of physicalness is not how more advanced beings or civilizations think or measure material that makes up our universe, so I will explain to you the reader the concepts that I've been taught by the beings that have contacted me from the constellation of Andromeda. Our universe consists of 11 primary dimensional levels or belts. Within these levels are 11 different levels or frequencies of sound and color. This is important to state because that which we perceive as the universe is the last level of creation that is occurring in our present. In other words, fourth density is our next level, and within that vibration is 11 levels of matter and creation, and so on with all the other levels until we reach the 11th density and the last level of that density. Now in the creation of this universe, the more advanced civilizations state that the true beginning of this universe starts with a thought conception of it. First there was the idea, and then the word, and then it became manifest into the many levels moving down the scale into physical matter that we call third density. It is here that we, with our still limited sciences, try to measure time and space to equal or validate our belief systems that focus most of the time on the physical realm. Accordingly, the sciences of some of the extraterrestrial civilizations state that our universe is 21 trillion years old as we measure time, which is not how they measure time. But, for the sake of all the readers, I will state all measurements of time in Earth years. Using this conception or truth, we are being asked to look at our home and ourselves in a different light. The beings, which I shall refer to from this moment on as the 11, have stated that not all of the civilizations in space explain the truths the same way, so I leave it to the reader to absorb and feel the information and trust your own wisdom. The physical creation of our universe accordingly was 21 billion years ago. If this is the true nature of what our universe is and how it works, then we must come to realize that there is more to us also, since we are connected to this process as well, on most levels if not all of them. It has been explained to me that our conception of the Big Bang Theory is correct in its simplicity, and that the idea of creation and evolution are correct also, so everyone is right and all of our present theories and evaluations are incomplete. The creation of our physical universe occurred quite suddenly if we could have all been watching it. The 11 have said that on the first level of fourth density it was agreed to by the power of our thoughts to create a lower vibration of density. We were in fact very successful. In fourth density, as this idea was given power, 3 huge pockets were created, and as soon as these pockets of energy could not hold any more light and all that we wanted to create was manifested, then these pockets of matter exploded into a void of space and time, thus creating the magnificence that we see as our present home physical universe. This is also the same process that we use to create the last level of the 11th density. This also explains why our science sees this universe as a closed universe. Because we have not created any levels of density below or lower than third density. This is the lowest level of the dimensional ladder. From here everyone evolves up. The black holes are the windows from which the Big Bang explosions originally came from. They are portals to another dimension of universe the Andromedans think. We, the creators and the infants of the isness, we all as a collective consciousness created it. All thought from all forms of spirits, both individually and those that are collective, created this particular universe. We all come from another universe and or thought dimensional plane. This dimensional plane is said to be on the 45th plane. Here we all joined to create another separate, but very different physical and spiritual density, as well as other density bodies that accompany any pure energy. 3 large groups of souls, totaling on the trillions, decided that they were going to leave the source and create. The isness set up the rules for the experiment, and we all had to agree to play by the rules. Not one soul was kidnapped or forced. Free will overrode any and all decisions. We gathered at our respective portal or black hole. Each portal had a significant position or path of evolution. The paths were different as per each soul. We all chose a different journey. We were separated into 3 groups. 1. Those that were to remain in 4th density and evolve up. 2. The second group were those souls that were to be planets, moons, stars, suns, planets, animals, and other forms. 3. The third density group were those that were to be true carriers of the spirit in physical forms. This group had to begin with the second group and evolve to the third density and up. This is not to be misunderstood with the idea that human beings or other conscious physical life forms are better than any other evolved life forms. Mankind could not exist if it were not for the efforts of the first and second kingdoms. Each universe is a living organism. Each universe is in the mind of God, isness, one living soul. The shaping of our universe of history is unique in the vastness of time. Creational love and advancement, technology and happiness are second to none. But, because of our other polarity of fear, which we agree to experience, we also have gone to the extreme of war, hate, destruction and self-punishment. Fear is almost as powerful a creational force as love. Even though it is not real in the sense that you are truly threatened, you are not the real you. However, fear in its creational form is not free. It is very restrictive, controlling and destructive. I will begin to give some historic examples of this in our universe. Lyrans. The Lyrans are the original white Aryan race, and what is left of the Aryans is the Pleiadians and Andromedans. Birth of the humanoid race has all of the genetic DNA from this area. Ancient Lyrans were the Titans. The giants Bigfoot also descended from Lyrans. All life destroyed on Lyra and the Ring Nebula of God. Lyra consists of 14 inhabited planets. 3 planets were destroyed during the wars Bela, Tekka and Merak. 50 million were slaughtered. Lyrans started the Black League. The Black Dragon. Lyrans grew into Sirian, Arcturian, Antarean, Pleiadian, Andromedan, Cygnus Alpha, Alpha Centauri, Sagittarius and B, Cassiopeia, all human evolution. Based upon genetically human forms in higher realms and very highly evolved universes, it was decided that many forms of life would be created here in Lyra because it appeared to be ideal as far as the age of the suns and planets and the length of probable stability. The human race would have time to evolve and create space exploration and gravitate by means of energy and spiritual recognition into planetary civilizations, and that those races would in turn create their own root races in life. It was also important that these races be allowed to manifest and create different aspects of ourselves mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Thus we would be creating diversity and expressing our own need to create. As the human race fragmented, the races moved, traveled, and settled many different planets and many systems as space travel evolved. The human became aware of other planetary civilizations and theses systems. Different cultures meet and grew. Belief systems clashed or spread. New thoughts of philosophy or technologies came into being. Mankind was evolving. A very strong social community developed between all in the Lyra system. The Lyrans were a very peaceful race on the whole. There were disagreements and light conflicts, but much was always cleared and resolved. The Lyrans learned to adapt to virtually all of the planetary environments that they settled. They learned to live in complete harmony with their respective planets. They developed agricultural communities that were literally awesome. They were not only efficient and could feed billions of beings, but it was actually enhancing the planet itself and creating an even wealthier environment. All aspects of life seemed to benefit from the Lyrans' commitment to be at one with their home planets. At the same time, the life expectancy was between 300-425 years on the average. This was to increase by 3 times later, but everyone worked as a community. They were not in service of self, but were a race that beat as one heart, and shared and moved in the same direction as a whole and would try to make sure that none of their race would lag or fall too far behind the whole. In other words, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. They were an incredible role model for all humanity that followed to this present moment. The human race is history. The works of the mind are a record of that history, for the whole record of the human race is in one man. If you read these words, then you are a part of Lyran heritage and a part of you carries this history within. The Pleiadians, the 7 sisters. The human species of Pleiadians evolved from Lyra. And they did develop effective weapons of war that helped sustain them through the Orion Wars and beyond. It has been said that the Pleiadians as we know then were Lyrans that came to Earth and then went to the Pleiades. Although some of the Lyrans that colonized her and our Earth for a time, a larger group of Lyrans went to the 7 sisters and to other star systems during the Orion Wars. The Pleiadians are our far distant first cousins and ancestral forefathers of some of our races. The Pleiadians are also descendants of the Lyrans who came from Lyra in space stations or arcs because of your star systems and the potential for stable longevity. The Lyrans would send down scout teams consisting of scientists and engineers and agricultural specialists to explore the surface of possible habitable planets and to explore them and return data and information to the mothership. Each planet is explored and based upon its unique nature, these developed and colonies are then sent down to settle. It is in this way that the Pleiadians are so interested in our world and our races here. They have been visiting Earth for at least 79,743 years, with many large settlements. They've just come and gone throughout our planet's history. We are very similar in many ways to them, however, they are emotionally and spiritually more evolved than we at this time. But they too have gone through their growing pains, as we are going through them right now. They have made attempts to share with us the benefits of their experience. So we ourselves don't have to experience the same kinds of setback and possible destructions, but at present, not enough people are listening. The Pleiades is an open star cluster consisting of 254 stars and many times the planetary bodies. Many of the stars are very young. This is located in the constellation of Taurus. The Pleiadians and the alphabets of Earth are both very similar. This was noted as of about 11,157 years ago that the script form was developed here on Earth and carried back to the Seven Sisters. This script form is the parent of most of our present-day alphabets. 3 of the star systems have human life as we know it. The most advanced is the system of Takeita, and the other is the system of Taro, which circles Alcyone. Most of the Pleiadians look like us in both size and stature, build, color of hair, etc. They are also very affluent and articulate when speaking any of our languages, or discussing our sciences, history, etc. We have inherited our aggressiveness towards each other from them. Their lifespans far exceed our own by at least 10 times what is our norm. Their technology has made it possible to travel anywhere in our universe at speeds faster than the speed of light. They are capable of using the oceans for undersea operations. They are very concerned about our misuse for our sciences today and that we have completely lost our spiritual center, our harmony with our sciences. They have no use for money, politics and religions, clearly stating that the later two politics and religions are really the same. The Pleiadians are worried as our most benevolent races visit, that we will destroy our planet and ourselves. All Earth's languages are derived from an ancient pre-Sumerian language called Tamil, which was spoken in Lyra and in the Pleiades. The Pleiadians as well as other groups have left descendants on the Earth in the past. They have said they are willing to help us but not to the point of changing our own evolution and then therefore becoming responsible for us as a race. They say we create our own future as we go, that we need to correct our own mistakes ourselves or suffer because of them. The Arcturians. This group of beings settled in the constellation of Arcturus. These races of humanity are very private, and for very specific reasons do they get involved with Earth. They think of themselves as healers. They carry a strong pride of technology and the arts of physical healing, and emotional and spiritual bodies. They have been known to intervene in the ancient past to help resolve very serious conflicts in our area of the universe by sharing their unique ability to show others how to integrate their belief systems and feelings to resolve conflict. They can be very silent, and can and will keep very much to themselves. They as a group, have done much to help raise the overall levels of consciousness in our universe. At this time the Andromedans have added little more than this.